Hello, this is David with Three Orcs. On this video, we're going to go over a new version of Boatman's Tavern and Marketplace and Basement and Pier in the village of Nulb. Now, I've been wanting to expand the Boatman's Tavern for a while now because it is a large location, canonical in the T1 through 4 Temple of Elemental Evil module, where it describes all these different parts of that building in one location. It's a little bit much, but what are you going to do? It is in the original Temple of Elemental Evil. So like I said before, I always try to stick to canonical lore and background as much as I can. And the base module for the Temple of Elemental Evil does state that it's a location that includes a tavern, a marketplace, and a warehouse. And then I put, a lot of thought into it. And of course, my members of my Three Orcs Discord channel, we talk about this every day, all day long. And we talked quite a bit about this location. And since Nulb needs to be expanded because there's only 4 original locations in the module. And Gary Gygax did state that he expected the Dungeon Master to expand this dungeon, this module, this campaign, and this village. If you were to do it, the module would have been over 1,000 pages, which was not feasible back in the 80s. And so they expected the Dungeon Master to do some work. And it turns out to be quite a bit of work. I've been working on this campaign for 7 years, and I've created over 13 villages in a few cities. I've done a lot of creation of hundreds of NPCs and locations and shops and organizations. And everything is inspired by the Living Greyhawk locations. Even though Living Greyhawk didn't happen until after the year 593 Common Year, those locations still exist on Anna Meyer's maps. And so that helps flush out the area around Nulb and Hamlet. So every location, all the villages that I've created with my own writing, is modeled after Hamlet. Much like Hamlet, all the different shops and buildings and organizations are all flushed out with a different separate article with interactive maps and a lot of artwork. So I'm doing that again with Nulb. I'm reinventing it to where it's more focused on the Temple of Elemental Evil activities, the leadership. What exactly are they doing in the village? And the module is pretty vague. It states what they're intending to do, but doesn't really outline, doesn't connect the dots what exactly is happening and which particular NPC is doing what in the village with which NPC in the village. I think the focus of this village should be the 2 taverns, because those are the 2 upcoming leaders that are trying to take control with the bandits and the pirates in the area, with the second uprising of the Temple of Elemental Evil in 579 Common Year. So with that all said, I decided to focus on Boatman's Tavern first. Now, originally, I did have a VTT map of it, and I'm going to go ahead and show you the map of Nulb that I've updated. So let's go ahead and go from there, take a look here. And as you can see, this is the front page of my Verbobonk Campaign Guide 576 Common Year, but the Temple of Elemental Evil module is supposed to happen during 579 Common Year. The 576 Common Year refers to the box set, which is the official timeline for the World of Greyhawk by Gary Gygax, but the module was run in 579. And as you can see, I have an interactive map for the Viscounty, and there's Nulb. And then if I scroll down to the table of contents, you can get to Nulb that way too. You can either click on the icon and the map or just go to the table of contents. But before I do that, I want to show you the maps I've been working on. So Nulb is, where'd it go? Okay, so here's the map for Nulb. The same buildings, the same layout and all that, with Enridge Run flowing from the south going north up to the Velvediver River. And there's a bay for the pirates, for the Nulb Pier, the wharf, the docks, for the pirates and merchants to stop and do trade with Nulb. Nulb right now is a hive of scum and villainy. Now, as I said before, this is the second rising of the Temple of Elemental Evil. It's on the rise. There's a lot of organization going on. There's a lot of recruitment, bringing in supplies and slaves, prisoners, for lots of reasons. And they're working with a lot of other organizations out there in the area. So this is not just the module. It's not just running the pages, a dungeon slog, going room to room, killing stuff, and all the leaders are just waiting behind that door for you to kill them and loot all their gear. That's not what this campaign is supposed to be about. The epic version of the Temple of Elemental Evil campaign is encompassing everything all around in these lands, in the Viscounty, in the Cron Hills, the Lortmill Mountains, Divers, the Wild Coast, and the Slavers, the Gnarly Forest, all the Rangers and the Druids, and the city of Verbobonk and all the lords there. So there's a lot going on. It's like the Temple of Elemental Evil meets Game of Thrones. And so it takes a lot for a Dungeon Master to really flush that out and detail it out. And I spent 7 years on it. And all the different towns in the Viscounty are modeled off of brief little snippets, paragraphs of a location, like Penwick, and I expanded it a billion times, the article for each location. So I did the same thing. I'm doing the same thing with Nulb. Now, all these clickable links take you to their articles. Now, this new map, the newer version of this map, I figured out how to add fog. So I added fog in the northern half of Nulb around the pier and the river. And then to the south, it gets kind of clear towards the forest. And I also detailed out Boatman's Tavern a little bit more with trails and rocks and brush. So it matches the VTT map a little bit closer, which it really didn't before. I also added a lot more ruins, burnt down cottages from siege damage from the battle after Emerald Meadows when the righteous host pushed back the elemental forces to Nulb. And there was bitter fighting on the streets here until they finally got pushed back to the temple and destroyed it, and then laid wards down to seal in the last of the Temple of Elemental Evil Forces in the dungeon. So there's a lot of damage here during that time. And they've been rebuilding it in the last 9 years. Some of these buildings I had previously, I decided after looking at this for a while, they're too new looking for Nulb. And so I replaced some of them. And I've been creating my own objects as well. Like that building is the object I've created and added it to the village. And I replaced some of these more updated, modern looking. I created that too, that cottage. And I've created this one too. So this is the old mayor's manor that's got destroyed during the battle, and a bunch of bandits from the Greater Temple moved in under Hedrick and Smigmel's orders. And so they're here as like a supply staging house and a link between the Temple of Elemental Evil ruins and the village of Nulb. And also there's that secret tunnel too that goes out to the hunting cottage out in the forest too. So there's 2 ways to get into the temple. So anyway, I updated this village with a lot more detail and some changes that made it more sense. So now the focus of this video is the Boatman's Tavern. So let's go ahead and take a look at the map that I've created for it so far. So I'll get rid of that. Okay, here we go. So I haven't uploaded it to the website yet. This is just an export from DungeonDraft. That's the cartographer tool of choice that I use. Now, this is on the north side of the building is the pier, and I only showed enough of the pier to be able to use it for combat next to the building. I didn't go farther than that because the map would have been too big. The full resolution size of this map is 30 megabytes. And so I'll offer higher resolution versions on my Patreon, but the regular version's for free with everybody because it's fan content. So you can all use it however you want for your own VTT Greyhawk online games. Now, I put trails going up to the buildings, as you can see, on each side. And then there's entrances where they should be. So on the back side, on the pier, there is a door to the tavern on the right. And this trapdoor, there's steps going down into the basement. That's a cargo bay door. That's where supplies can be stowed. I have another map for that. These supplies right here just got offloaded, and they're on their way downstairs or into the main warehouse. Now, this smaller warehouse on the left has not been keyed yet. It's pretty much this entire building has been keyed on World Anvil on the Verbabont campaign website. I just wanted to show you the map today. So you can go to Boatman's Tavern and you'll see it's fully keyed. They're all in rough draft form right now because I want to connect more of the dots later as I go along and then start connecting the dots with the leaders and the exact activities they have. So I can give a Dungeon Master a lot more detail on that. So the only way into this warehouse, this particular warehouse that I have not keyed yet, is these double doors right here or these double doors. And I think this is going to be the public more of the warehouse or Captain Tolub's warehouse. And then also, if you go to the right to the tavern, now this tavern has a kitchen area in the back behind the bar, and the steps going up to Skole's room, to the steps going up to the bartender Skole. And also in his office down here behind the bar, there's a trap door going down to the basement as well. And this is his little office here. And these are windows. They could be barred or shuttered, however you want. I haven't keyed that part yet. But I extended this bar, this tavern area, to the south through these double doors. And this is another tavern area. So down here is just an extended version. And I decided on the right to put a tiny little stage there for a bard, and an entertainer, a minstrel, to entertain the crowd for money. And so that's there for your use. And all the tables have, plenty of chairs here to fill the place out with brigands and bandits and pirates and merchants and all sorts. Now these steps right here in the other corner, Those lead up to a small brothel I added to this location. So there's a small brothel up there, and the girls do come down here and mingle, and they bring them upstairs to the brothel area. This chair by the lamp is probably a guard station where a guard would sit and watch the patrons. Now, this door down here, double iron-bound doors going south, goes to the black market. So this is the black market area, and every square is 5 feet. And so basically I keyed this to be a black market. So when a bandit crew comes in with loot from a caravan they raided, or a pirate crew comes in from a merchant ship they raided, a lot of that stuff will be sold and traded to the Temple of Elemental Evil agents, and that'll be kept in the warehouse. And then eventually it'll be transported through the secret tunnel or through that manor to the temple. But other stuff that they have, they hold on to for themselves, they sell here at the black market. They'll choose like a quartermaster or some sort of salesman of the crew to come here and set up a booth and sell that stuff. Players can come in here during the day when it's open and find really unique stuff. I came up with some D100 charts of really unique treasures they could find and buy here. One of them is a portrait of Lady Osbury, who was a major noble in this campaign. And so that's pretty cool. And there's 2 front double doors getting into this market when it's open. And Lodriss is the owner of this establishment, and she has her thugs. Her thugs are on guard everywhere, and they obviously patrol the grounds, including the marketplace. And I always add dialogue and flavor text to all my articles. And so I added dialogue for the guard to challenge the players when they first get there. That helps the Dungeon Master out a lot to set the tone and get going with your role playing. It's like a Kickstarter. This double door right here goes north into the warehouse, and that's locked. And above, between these 2 doors above, there's a balcony. So this ceiling in this room is all the way up to the roof. This is a 2-story building. And so there's a balcony right there where my cursor is. And that's Lodriss' room, her rooms upstairs. So she can actually watch the black market from above. But there's no way to get up there except for through the warehouse or this corner stairs in the tavern's top right-hand corner. But that's Skole corner of the upstairs, and then her corner is down here. Before we go up there, I put some outhouses in here, for the bathroom, just for fun. I put another one out here too on the right. Yeah, you can see that. And I put a lot of trail marks and footprints and little debris and water soaked lands from the marsh and the river. They add a lot of character. Now the warehouse, the main warehouse, there's 2 entrances on the left, and as you can see, they're double doors, and there's a crane on the 2nd floor above this, and there's an opening in the ceiling above this area where I got my cursor at. So you can see through this into the 2nd floor, and there's a crane up there, so it can offload wagons as they pull in. And this stairs right here actually go up to the 2nd floor, and I'll show you that map. That's a separate map. So there's a lot of VTT map. This took me a couple months to make all this. It took a lot. And a lot of these objects are TomCartos objects. I'm a patron of his, and I pay my monthly fee. And I also use another one too that I pay. I can't pronounce his name. It's Caeroa. Right here on the north end of this, by this big this big keg, is stairs going down to the basement. So it's another access. So these stairs go to the basement, those stairs go to the basement, and these stairs go to the basement. And then we got some objects to interact with on the dock here in case there's a battle. You got to remember, this is Nulb, both pirates and bandits and cultists. There's a lot of factions involved. Smart players will play one faction against another. The paladin will have a hard time at this, but hopefully they can survive it. I know a lot of parties don't like to have restrictive characters like that when coming to a place like this, so they can kind of blend in and pretend to work one side or another, like those old movies, like the 7 Samurai or that Western movie. So that's that map. So let's go ahead and show you upstairs. We'll do that next. The next map, we're going to go upstairs, take a look at that and bring it over. I noticed as I look at this that I might do some editing later. If you guys see anything off, let me know, because that's what my Discord's for people to comment and make suggestions and changes and things like that. So this is the upstairs. I overlaid this over the bottom floor so you can see the positioning of where you're at in the building. And on the left-hand side, like I said before, you see the wagons down below. This is an opening. There's some windows here. And these are the stairs that go down to the warehouse right here. So this area right here is kind of like a loading area, where you bring the crane can bring stuff up here and drop it off. You can put more loot up here too. These doors right here, the double doors go into this enclosed room. I'm going to go ahead and bring up another version. This is the latest version of the map. And I added more cargo here. I added more barrels and crates and sacks and things like that. I noticed that my other map was missing these items. I have different versions. Every time I update the map, I download it. So this is the crane. And this is the secret room. Lodriss puts her most valuable loot, her own personal warehouse. And it's heavily locked. And that's where she puts the most valuable items in here for her. This is hers only. And this door right here going down the hallway passes all these little tiny rooms. Now, these rooms are servant and guard rooms. So those thugs that are on guard, this is where they sleep. This is their sleeping room. This room, I decided to have, there was activity here previously. Somebody busted in and just wrecked the place. And there's a murder. So that's past history of something that happened. That might be an interesting little thing with the players if they want to investigate that. Or you could add it to your campaign. Lodriss' bedroom here. She's got her makeup stand and her bed and her table. This is her desk that she has her manuscripts, her ledgers, and things like that. In case you need to get into her, players have to get into that room to get proof of what she's been up to, or find out letters from the temple, things like that. There's the fireplace, and down here on the south is the balcony that's overlooking the black market below. So there's no other doors here. This is a secret door right here. This is not the latest version. I think the latest version I created on, I see now that the latest version, DungeonDraft that I created, I did not export yet. So this is like version 2.2, and I think 2.3 is the one I need to export. But anyway, the parlor here, this balcony overlooks the bay. And so this is where you could gamble or have private meetings and things like that. And see, there's two ways to get there. This hallway gets to these double doors. And I added some side rooms for some sort of storage or something. Maybe even keep a prisoner. I don't know. And then a small door over here that's heavily locked that leads to the brothel. And so these rooms are for storage too, like rolled up carpets and things like that. You go down this hallway. So this right half of the map is separated from the left half of the map. The only way to get across is through this narrow hallway here, which are heavily locked. And this is an intersection here of 4 doors. Now, if you go to the south door, this is the brothel lounge area. You know, this is where they bring their customers first to this area where they relax and talk to the girls. And while they promise them things to go into these other rooms. And so these other side rooms are the girls' rooms right here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 girls right here. And then up here to the intersection on the right is the Madame's room. She's in charge of the girls. And if you notice here, this room right here has no window. That's south of the Madame's room, and it's heavily locked. And that's where she keeps her latest girl prisoner. And the latest one is there's a quest for her. Her name is Serena, and she's a Wren folk, daughter of the leader of the Wren that's encamped to the south of Nulb. And so they offer a big quest to try to figure out how to get her. And so either they'll sell her outright or they can rescue her or do something to get her out of there, to get her back to her family, her Wren family. So if you go through this north door, on the right is supposed to be a broker right here. The broker, he's in charge of getting slaves, prisoners to the temple and back, you know, sales between the slaver pirates that come into the port with slaves. He goes down there and he actually offers them, he works for the temple. And so he's the one that handles the money, the transactions, and gets the slaves into the basement here. And then he arranges them to be transported to the temple. So that's him. Across the hallway is Skole. He is the bartender of the Boatman's Tavern. And this is his private rooms. And through this door is his private lounge area and another balcony overlooking the bay. So he can watch the activity on the docks and watch ships coming in from the river. This narrow hallway going north, the stairs goes down to the kitchen of the tavern below. This side room is the kitchen prep area. So there's a kitchen downstairs, but I realized it wasn't large enough. And so I decided to create another room where they could do other food prep and storage of food items here. The waitresses, the serving girls will have to go back and forth up and down these steps. And these doors are locked, so they can't get past this room. So that's the upper floor. And as you can see, you know, it's only, every square is 5 feet. So it's like, what, maybe 150 feet wide. And that's the size of my house that I have right now. Okay, so now let's go up to the next map. So the next map right here. So the next map, as you can see, I'm trying to make it big as I can here for you. This map is the basement. So I overlaid it with the level above so you can see the positioning of it. And it looks like I have to do some more editing. So this door right here is the hatch that goes to the pier, and they bring all the food supplies for the tavern here in this main area. And there's a wine cellar down at the very end. And so this is the main area where they actually stow most of the tavern supplies. Let's go ahead and bring up the other map so you can see this more clearly. There we go. So this is the map without the overlay, so you can see it clearly. This wall right here needs a set of steps going up to the other, or I might just remove those actually, the steps in the other warehouse to the north, because that doesn't make sense. This is Captain Tolub's area. So it's only one way, there's only two ways in here. Through this hatch up the stairs to the main warehouse, or through these double doors. And everything in here belongs to Captain Tulub. This is his most valuable gains from his piracy. And this is where he'll sell and trade with the temple agents to get them. And this main, as you come down the steps, this is the main basement of the tavern. And this is where they keep their food supplies for the tavern, and the ale kegs, and a wine cellar. And there's some leakage of water here in the basement. The basement ceiling is a little bit low, and a lot of seepage from the river, and mist comes down from the river. So it's pretty dark and murky and cold and wet. Now there's a hidden door right here in this cabinet. So behind this cabinet is an entrance into this secret hidden chamber. Now this secret hidden chamber on the right down here, this ladder goes up to the trap door in that office next to the kitchen of the tavern. So you can get there from here. You can get there from here. And these are the cages where they keep all the prisoners. Now, all the prisoners that have freshly arrived get taken down from this cargo trapdoor from above in the docks down to this basement, and they get dragged to this hidden door portal into this secret chamber. So in my description of my write-up, if you go read the article for this location, there's I put some 5th edition D&D type mechanics in there for players to notice, like blood trail or any signs of activity of bodies being dragged through that cabinet, maybe fingerprints and things like that. And so it's possible for the players to help you DM. So this main area is the public basement for most merchants and authorities. And they don't know anything about this hidden area. So everything looks pretty authentic. Everything looks pretty official when it comes to a tavern. So there's nothing to give away that they're an evil tavern working with the Temple of Elemental Evil. That's why it's all hidden. And, the seepage coming from the water, from the river. So, I got a little pool of water over here. Then you kind of use that as a water source. So you go into the secret area, and there's a lot more seepage here. A lot more. So it's very damp, very murky, very dark. And I also added like a little trough of water coming into the river and out again. They kind of walled it off and guided it so they can use it as a source of water. This is the pillory where they can question their prisoners and find out more about them. The main reason for prisoners, besides cannon fodder, besides undead fodder, besides sacrifices to the elemental node or whatever, another very good reason for prisoners to keep here is to find out who they are and also maybe ransom them. Because it's very... You got to remember the rise of the Temple of Elemental Evil, Second Rising. Hadrak, the Supreme Commander, is very smart. He's not making the same mistakes as they did in the First Rising, where they created this massive army and marched upon the Viscounty of Verbank to the city, and then this big battle, and all the nations came together and put them down. That was a big failure, bad planning on their part. So Hadrak, the Supreme Commander, the Mouth of Uwaz, with the Uwaz's help, they orchestrated the Second Rising, and they're doing this in secret. So they're keeping the town a hive of bandits, a local problem. Nothing to do with any cults, nothing to do with any elemental, nothing like that. Everything points away from that, just a local problem of bandits, and the local authorities, the constables, should be taking care of that. And so that's why the lords of the lands, the big leaders, they're not interested in local problems. They just, if somebody complains enough, they'll make sure the local people hear about it. Or if they're not doing a good enough job, they'll replace them. But there's no reason to bring down a high force of the Circle of Eight to come stomp out some bandits in Nulb, because there's no way anybody has any inkling there's a rise of the Temple of Elemental Evil at this time. Well, actually, that's not quite true. Well, the thing is Otis, the smith, and Cadenus de Vey, they're secret agents of Valuna and Firandi, and they've been sent here to find out what's going on. So they suspect some stuff. They want to know what's going on between highly organized banditry on the roads lately. So something's up. They suspect something. That's why they're here. But they haven't been here that long enough to figure it out. That's what players are for, to figure stuff like that out. So this is where the prisoners are kept until they're finally taken to the Temple of Elemental Evil or ransomed off for money. And so there's a dead body in this one, but this is where they're at. And I actually keyed this section with an example of 4 or 5 prisoners from a merchant ship that Nulb took. So that's pretty interesting too, but you can put anybody you want in here. This is a great place to find somebody in your campaign. So if you have a player that has a brother or a sister or a father or whatever, and they're missing from the beginning of the backstory of a campaign, good place to find them right here. or maybe they're a day behind. They're always a day behind. Oh, they were here. Now they're gone. They've been taken to the temple. So you got to follow the trail, the breadcrumbs. So all sorts of things you can do as a DM. That's what the goal of this website's for. All right. So now last thing, some DMs were against this. I thought it was cool, but I added another hidden tunnel. It's an escape tunnel to escape from the boatmans in case of emergency, and it ends up in a small cottage next door to the east. And so that way you can come out in that cottage without being seen. I thought another good idea was that's how you get the prisoners out of here without being seen. So there's a lot of good ideas. As you can see on the VTT map, I don't put any sign here that there's a door, so that way your players won't see it on their map. So you'll have to put in your own VTT map door there so that you won't see it. Okay, real quick, I'm going to go over the article. So it's called number 4, Boatman's Tavern. It's linkable on the interactive map above. And there's a lot of flavor text, dialogue, everything you need to know about this. So this is the splash screen. This is the front page of the location. And as you can see under the structure and layout, there's 5 sub-articles built for this article, because I felt that this place is so large that each of these areas needs its own article. So that way you're really organized. And not one article is way too big. You'd be scrolling forever. So you got the tavern, the warehouse, the black market hall, the brothel upstairs, and the basement. And they're all linkable. If you put your cursor over it, it'll pop up the article, or clicking again, it'll pull up the full article with a lot more artwork and information. The wenches and the goods available, the tavern menu. You know how good I am with my menus. I also added dialogue. So when you first get there, Skole will welcome them and talk to them, find out who they are. And I had a conversation about that with another dungeon master a couple of days ago on the Discord channel about how a lot of DMs and players, they don't really interact when they first meet bad guys. And bad guys don't really, they should, with all these factions in Nulb, the bad guys don't know really who you are. If you're new to town and you're a new face and you're bristling with weapons, you might be working for somebody. What faction are you with? They want to know if you're just plain adventurers that wander onto the streets and you're a fresh meat, or maybe you're working for one of the factions, good or evil. Because this is information that any cult leader or bandit or pirate leader would want to know before dealing with you. They want to know that they could get themselves into a lot of trouble by bothering you or taking you or killing you or capturing you. And most of the time they'll capture you because they can ransom you or sell you to the temple. So if the players end up on the losing end of a deal and there's a fight and they're going to get slaughtered, it's best just to, as a DM, you might want to just have them knocked unconscious and they'll wake up in these jail cells and gives them the opportunity to escape. So maybe some of the other players escaped previously and they can come rescue them. So many things you can do as a dungeon master to make this campaign a lot more interesting. I added a DM-only section of adventuring hooks, and when the pirates are in town, that's directly right out of the Temple of Elemental Evil module. On the right-hand side is a Black Market Thug stat block, 5e. So that way all the guards there, you have a stat block for them, especially when the players are sneaking around and trying to get evidence. I actually added another encounter table here. So this encounter table, at any given night, you roll on this several times to find out who's at the tavern that night. I want to do a brief video about the Boatman's Tavern and what I've done with it so far. And it's not nearly done yet because I still have to connect more of the dots with the temple. And as I build out and include those articles, I usually revisit them and also give people a chance to comment on them and give advice and update them too. Well, I hope you like this video. I hope you like the map. You can get them for free, available on the Discord or the Patreon. And usually I'll post them over on the Facebook group so you can use them too. The only way to access the higher resolution maps is on the Patreon, but you don't need those if you don't want to print them up.
Did you enjoy video? Consider tossing support on my Patreon. It best way to support orcs. If you would like to see more content, subscribe and post comments below. It better not be bad.
So I hope you like what you've seen so far, and I look forward to hearing what you guys have done in your campaigns down below, or come to the Discord channel and join the conversation. And all of us that are running this campaign currently right now, we'd like to hear from you. And every Sunday night I do a live stream of a recap of what I've done all week, and also plans on continuing on the next week. And sometimes I'll have a guest on my live stream. Usually it's another dungeon master talking about his campaign and what he's done. Oh, thank you so much for your time, and I hope your players like your campaign as much as mine. May your dice ever roll true.